welcome to Film Strip. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.
Well, welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay.
And I'm Brian.
And this is our review of Sharks in Venice, starring Stephen Baldwin, Vanessa Johansson, Hilda Vandermeulen, and Giacomo Janella. Directed by Danny Lerner, released in 2008 on DVD and TV and places like that, and a lot of reused footage. So, Brian, Sharks in Venice. This has been a long time coming for us here on Film Strip. By my Amazon records, you and I bought some cheap DVDs in 2011 for some reason. Please remind me why we did that.
I think it was because the Sharknado films were all the rage at the time, and I just so happened to see this. I think I got mine at Target of all places in like a discount bin. Might have been Best Buy even. And I thought, well, you know, the shark craze is cool and this looks awful. So, Jay, what do you think? and that's kind of how it rolled.
Yeah, and I think for 99 cents and a quarter later, I got mine in the mail. And funny thing is, though, I didn't even drag my DVD out to rewatch this because this is on Popcorn Flicks, the app, right now. If you want to sit through some commercials,
well,
you can watch this. So that's how I rewatched it.
All of you listeners don't even have to spend $1.
Right.
You can just go to this Popcorn Flicks and watch it for free.
Exactly.
You know, I think I spent $3 or $4 on mine.
Sharks in Venice. So we're going to get into the plot summary here a little bit, but first off, Stephen Baldwin. I know him. I think most of the world will know him from The Usual Suspects and some of the other action-y kind of films he did. I think he's done some TV and stuff. I haven't really kept up with him. He's the Baldwin I've least kept up with, I guess, through the years. But at the time in 2008, I don't know what else he would have been doing other than this kind of stuff. So apparently he was the get of the film, according to all the background stuff I read.
Well, I mean, if you look at the cast, it's no doubt. He's got the name, right? The Baldwin name holds some weight in wherever this was, if this is even Hollywood. But
no, this was made in Bulgaria, my friend. They made this on the cheap.
Bulgaria would. I mean, he's got the name recognition, so anyone sees a Baldwin on the cover, I guess maybe they think it must be something decent. Well, and Stephen's probably the least well-known Baldwin of the, what is it, 3 or 4 brothers that act?
There's 4. There's Daniel, Alec, and William, or Billy, and then him. I don't know. I think you maybe could argue that William was that, but I don't know. I mean, again, he's one of the other Baldwins. He's probably, I mean, again, that and I want to downsell it, like, he's really good in Usual Suspects. Like, and he's good in a few other things I've seen him in where he plays like a cop or something like that. He's just not like a go-to. But for this kind of low rent, straight to DVD type movie, sure. You're not going to get Alec Baldwin to do this, right? Because even he discerns somewhat. No. And you probably, you may not ask the other one. So Stephen Baldwin doing this, sure. Stephen Baldwin seemed to be the one that always took these roles as kind of the tough guy on the side. Alec Baldwin did that early in his career, but then,
Well, and you could tell because he's a little more bulked up than the other Baldwin brothers. Right. Alec has got a little bulk to his body, but it's not like Stephen. Stephen's more of a weighty, lifty kind of guy.
Yeah, I think he's a little smaller too. He's like shorter. He's a little wiry.
He's short and stocky.
Yeah.
And then the other Baldwin is really thin and got that long hair.
Right, and I don't know any of these other actors in this movie, and I don't know them. Why would I want to? Right, like right.
I'm curious. Is Vanessa Johansson related to Scarlett?
I don't even know. I don't think so. No, I don't think so, even closely. No. But I don't know Danny Lerner from anything either. But you're right. This was in a time when the shark craze was just about to hit us again. Like it'd been a while since we had like shark movies in theaters, but they were coming back, man, like in the mid to late 2000s, and then before Sharknado hit, and that was its own thing. Killer shark attack movies. I mean, there was like Louis Diamond Phillips had one on TNT once with Christy Swanson or something. I may be conflating two movies together there, but there was that. There was they've made a resurgence back to theaters though in recent years. Like we've had like legit shark movies again in movies. So you can totally blame
Shark Week for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shark Week became a huge deal, and I think that spawned all this.
I think also the fact that there's so much freaking shark footage now available that people can sell, like the B-roll from Shark Week. I think you're exactly right. I think that people are selling that footage, and then studios are cutting around it with some plastic fins and some bad hair gel, and there we go. So, but now this movie though is something different though, because like it disguises itself as a shark movie, but the sharks are kind of the side piece in this movie. Like this is a whole other thing that we're going to get into as we go. But I guess before we go any further, if people aren't going to take the time to watch it on Popcorn Flicks or buy DVDs like we did, why don't you tell people what the plot summary of Sharks in Venice is, and go into as much detail as possible, because I don't think it's possible to step through this movie the way we normally would. So just tell everybody everything they need to know, Brian.
All right. After learning about the mysterious disappearance of his father, David Franks, played by Stephen Baldwin, and his girlfriend Laura, played by Vanessa Johansson, travel to Venice to try and find the body. While diving for clues, David comes across a large treasure after narrowly escaping an attack from a giant shark. At some point, David passes out and wakes up in a hospital bed after 2 days in a coma. As he and Laura are leaving the hospital, they are told to meet a, quote, businessman named Vito Clemenza for dinner at a fancy restaurant. There, Vito offers David $2 million in advance to lead him to the treasure with a promise of more upon retrieval. Laura tells him no, but they caution her to think about it as David and Laura leave. The two decide to go sightseeing in the morning and then head home. But before they can leave, Laura is attacked and kidnapped by the, quote, businessman's thugs. David finds out where she is being held after threatening one of the thugs with a saw blade to the head. But when he shows up, they capture him. Vito tells David that he is the one that put sharks in the Venice waters, which, by the way, the cops want nobody to know about. Vito put the sharks in the water to keep people from finding the lost treasure before he could retrieve it. David then finds out that one of the detectives, Sophie Toddy, played by Helen van der Meulen, was working with Vito the whole time. David is forced to find the treasure again or risk the slow and painful death of Laura. David leads the lead thug, Rossi, to the treasure and narrowly escapes being executed before coming back to confront Vito. This time, the detective turns on Vito, and the police show up, and there is a major shootout between Vito's thugs and the cops. In the end, David and Laura are safe and tell the lead detective that the turncoat Sophie was actually a hero. Before heading home, David gives Laura a necklace that he stole from the treasure as some sort of engagement gift, and she tells him that they won't be honeymooning in Venice. The end. What the heck?
I don't know, man. There's so much to get into there, and what we already know coming in, like, this is a dumb premise, right? The whole point is, can this be any fun, right? Can we have any fun? And what we get here, Brian, is we get some, adventure, treasure hunting, and we get a little mafia and some ugly stereotypes and some killer fish to just go along with it, because why not, right? Like, that's this whole thing is a big treasure hunt. So it's National Treasure, but dumber.
Very much dumber. It's a poor man's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
With some sharks and some, like, low-rent, Godfather-esque stuff. Like, Vito Clemenza, come on, man. Like, that's ripping off two different things from The Godfather. They might as well call him, like, spaghetti ravioli or something like that. I mean, and he plays it about the same too. And the guy's Italian. That's what's killing me. It's like they got a real Italian, and this is the garbage he has to do. But whatever. So the whole premise here, and I will say it's kind of a neat setup. We get this underwater diving thing, and what I love in movies is when they do the respirator has a microphone. Again, something else we can thank Shark Week for is introducing us to the idea that, yes, these things do exist and we can record people talking underwater, but it usually sounds a lot like this, and, it's every breath comes out like that when you're doing it. And in these movies, it's clear as day, and over here you will see the sunken Spanish galleon, and I love the overdub, as we're just supposed to buy that they're under 50 feet of water doing that.
Well, and my favorite thing is, too, they show them with their complete lips wrapped around the breathing apparatus, as if they can form perfect words without using any lips at all. It's just, what the heck?
Yeah, but whatever, Nick and I talked about that in Darkman. When his lips are burnt off, he sounds funny,
Yeah, they can talk perfectly fine, but the video sucks.
Yes,
they can't get a clear picture.
Right, we can't get good cameras, but we got great audio, right? So we haven't come there. I mean, and those things do exist. Again, the respirator masks that you can talk in are full masks, so you're not biting onto something the way that you are in the traditional. But they ain't got no money for none of that crap in this movie, so it's just the standard scuba gear. So, but we have to give it that. So if you'll give every movie its opening gimme just to try to go with it, fine, we'll let that go. But what we learn through later tale and for what we see here is that this guy's leading people on a treasure hunt, and then a giant shark comes out of nowhere and attacks him and kills him. But what you just but here's my thing. He's leading the mafia to the treasure, but they put sharks in there to stop him from getting to it, but it also stops them.
Well, no,
or am I confused about this?
You're confused, I think, a little bit. I mean, the sharks are put in there by Vito in order to stop anyone from finding the treasure before him. So David's father is some all-time archaeologist or some crap that has been a diving guy expert in trying to find this lost Medici whatever treasure that's sitting in Venice in the water. So we see in the opening scene that his father and the diving crew that he's with has found something. They found the marker that marks where this treasure is, right? But before anyone could go any further to investigate it more, here comes the big shark and attacks everybody and basically kills them all, right?
Right.
So Vito knows exactly where this treasure is at that point. And so now he just has to find someone to go find it.
Right.
And that's where David comes in, because David comes to look for his dad because he's called in to identify the body, and it's neither one of the guys that are there. And so he asks to go hunting for his dad's body. And, of course, the cops there tell him he has to sign some stupid confidentiality agreement saying he won't mention anything about sharks being in the water.
Because it's going to kill these swimming tourists of Venice. Oh, wait, people don't do that.
Right, exactly. So
okay, let me just break down the whole premise here for just a second. Well, I get it now. You're right. You've cleared that up for me, so I understand now. How did the Italian mobster, one, secure the sharks to guard the treasure? Moreover, how did he know that they would do that other than just do what sharks do, which is swim around and look for stuff to eat? How did did he get a bubble screen to keep them there? He didn't have a laser on their head. How does he know the sharks will
with
be good Dobermans?
Laser beams? Yeah. No, he says in the movie, as all bad guys do, they confess everything before
it's the
sending someone to their
motif.
death, right?
Yeah.
So he tells him that it was his plan all along. He bought the sharks as babies, put them in the water, and then they grew big. That's all he basically says.
They're guppies.
And apparently, when they grow big, they're mean and vicious.
Hey, I got news for you. Baby sharks are just as vicious, and so is that damn song. So just so we can get on the record and say that too. So, well, it's not so much that sharks are vicious. Let me take that back. Sharks know how to do three things: swim, bite, eat, and make other sharks. That's what they do. So, they don't have hands, so the mouth is the hand, and occasionally that means we touch things we're not supposed to. So that's not anything new. That's what amazes me about this, right? That we still have sharks as the bad guys in movies. But nowadays it seems like they're more like you just get into a situation where there are sharks and that's your bad luck that gets you more than the shark is maniacally hunting you. These sharks are definitely from the Jaws 3 and Jaws 4 versions of sharks, where they are they're on a mission, or maybe Deep Blue Sea. They have the brains to understand no, you get the 9 to 12 shift, Murray, and I get the 12 to 3 or whatever. They are guarding this treasure with their lives. Wow.
Yeah, I would have preferred to be told that there's specially trained sharks by the Medici, right? That they put them there, but no, apparently Vito did. And I don't know. Maybe he has some sort of mind control over them. Who knows? But they definitely only attack people who are near the. Although we do get a stupid scene in the middle of the movie out of nowhere where these two drunks are sitting there and the shark comes up and eats them.
Right, because we had to have the drunk couple arguing on the deck, and one of them just gets taken down. They got too close to the water, because sharks can smell you out of the water too.
Right, and especially if you're not bleeding.
Man, so many problems. So let me just ask you this though: if we took away the shark element of this, like if they called this movie Sharks in Venice, but it was like a play on words and it was about the evil gangsters, like this would almost work if it was just like a murder mystery. Like if the guy was digging in a hole and then like he got killed in a cave-in, but that also tipped off like it would work if you didn't have the stupid shark element.
If they had them get to the area and he got killed by the booby traps. Because we need to mention that when David finds the treasure, there are several booby traps as he makes his way towards it. And he narrowly escapes them all, of course. And then when the next thugs come in and they never trigger him again, which blew my mind. I would have thought at least one of them would have gotten those stakes to the face or something. But nope, none of them trigger him again.
It's very Indiana Jones, like you said. That's the part we get there. But that's what I'm getting at, though. Like, if this was just sort of a B-rent, C-level, cops and robbers kind of movie, it almost sort of works if you take out the shark element. The introducing the shark part is where I can't believe I'm going to say this next sentence, is where this movie goes wrong, Brian. Because as a crime film, it sort of works, but it's when you introduce the shark part that I'm left again with more questions that there are no answers to.
I agree. I think that had they just took the shark thing out completely, because it really absolutely serves no purpose. There's zero reason for these sharks to even be in this film. The whole point of the film is so that the mafia guy can get the treasure and become even more rich than apparently he already is. So there's more ways for them to go about this and still have death and whatever mayhem without the sharks. And good Lord, every time the shark is coming, they do this cut scene where you get like this super speedway look at like you're looking at the shark, and then this shark attacks, and it's like I could have done without any of that. But you're right. If they would have kept this to just this mafia guy has found where the treasure is, but it's so dangerous that people keep dying, and he has to find more people to go in and get it, that would have been much better.
Well, it would have at least
everything else the same.
It would have been like logical. Now, the other part here that I've got to ask about, because you even said it in the plot summary. See, the cop, like he's got a dirty cop helping him out, right? Because that's a trope in all these movies too, right? So we've got a dirty cop helping us out, but then the heroines let her go because they have a soft part for her. What?
Well, no, so she turns on him, right?
Right.
That's why I said
she turns on him just so she can have all the money. So.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought, oh, now she knows exactly where it is, so now she's going to take it for herself. But then she gets shot in the melee, and they claim that she's a hero, and she's all happy about it. Like, really?
Yeah. Why did she live? Like that was my other question. How did she live at the end of this?
It made zero sense. Like, why would you just be like, no big deal, no harm, no foul. You got shot. I guess we're even.
Right,
for almost killing me.
Yeah, we can't undersell the fact that the shootout in this is absolutely insane. Like it is like we are dropping bullets like a Rambo movie. So. Yeah,
and where did all these mafia guys come from too? I mean, like
it's like they spawn in the game or something.
Yes. All of a sudden they come out of nooks and crannies you didn't know existed, and there's Brian, hundreds of them.
Back when I had a PlayStation 2, I played the original like The Godfather video game, and part of what you're doing in that is you go around to the other like compounds of the other families, and your boss levels are to raid the compounds one at a time and take them out. And when you're doing that, you're like on a one-man solo Rambo mission to do it. And there are dudes crawling out in like suits and ties with machine guns from everywhere. And I felt like I was watching that in this movie again too. It's like when the enemy spawns, man, they're just on you. I mean, it is crazy where these dudes roll out of. And again, we get the good action movie trope, even Alive in 2008, where people can fire thousands of rounds of ammunition and never once stop to reload. Not one damn time.
That's my favorite part, too, is when Laura takes the gun and she starts firing at people, and she must have fired 8 shots. And no worries, she's still got plenty of ammunition left in that gun.
She fires 8 shots,
nice
having
gun.
at least 4 times never even pulled the trigger. She's just sort of jerking the prop gun back and forth. I'm like, man, and I realize this is a low-budget movie. You don't have one prop master that can show these people how to hold a gun and make it look sort of real. I mean, now some of these people have done enough movies, like Baldwin's done enough of these, like he knows what he's doing. Some of these folks, like you can tell they had never held a weapon, never fired one, have no idea what it looks like. And now I'm dinging a movie that has sharks as bodyguards for a treasure for the weapon accuracy, but that's just where I am at this movie because I've already decided if we didn't have the sharks, this might actually work. Like that's the crazy part about this, man, is that as dumb as this is, it might actually work if they just like spent maybe $10,000 more and not had sharks.
Let's not confuse might actually work with it would be good, because I don't think that's what you're saying. Yeah, as a movie plot and story, yeah, it would probably work better. The sharks had zero place in there, and I don't get it. And then the best part is that towards the end of the movie, the sharks start attacking everyone around, and people are seeing these sharks attack everyone, and yet nothing comes of it. We get a news report that says the police are investigating mysterious disappearances of many people.
I'm like, what kind of control does the state have over the media in Italy? Holy cow!
Very lots. Yeah.
Apparently, right? Or at least that's what we're led to believe by this stupid movie. You know, I mean, really, like that. It is because I mean it is. Let's not make this up. It's not like nighttime kills. It is broad daylight. People in the gondolas, going down the little romantic path or whatever in between the buildings, and friggin' CGI sharks jump up and splash the boats, and that represents them getting killed. Right, like that's what, and we have the woman at the window. Like that's the greatest reaction too. You can see it online for free if you don't watch the whole movie. It's a YouTube clip of like the attack, and this woman looks at the window, and clearly the direction was just act like you just saw someone eaten by a shark, and she just does the best with that she can. Like, like it is so dumb.
I'd be like sitting there going, "Ugh."
I know, really, it'd be like, did I just see a shark like attack somebody in a lazy gondola? Maybe, I don't know. There's that's the thing too, and that's what gets me is even in 2008 we're propagating this idea that sharks are just these bloodthirsty killers, right? Like they didn't do anything to like tempt the sharks. There's not extra blood in the water where there's a frenzy. These sharks just every now and then are like, you know what, man, F this garden the treasure stuff. Like I'm going after these people in these boats. Why? I don't know. Why am I here to begin with?
I'm hungry, and they're not putting enough fish in here.
Or something, right? Like,
it's pretty bad.
We got to talk about Baldwin though, man, because he is doing his best, like strung out on the jagged edge of reality, private eye cop. Whatever adventurer that he's supposed to be, right? And the whole thing is like the inside joke is that him and his girlfriend are together, and like he's having trouble pulling the trigger and putting a ring on it, So, and this horrible experience is what kind of convinces him to sort of do that with some buried treasure of some sort. But like that's his whole story, right? Like the gumshoe that can't commit, and the loyal his girl Friday that's by his side no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean. Yes, and kind of like I really honestly thought he was going to tell her, "I'm sorry, I have to do this." when she told him that if he goes through with helping the mafia guy, she wasn't going to be there with him. And then he just says, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry," and I'm like, "Oh well, that's lame."
Well, can I ask you, like, why? I need to know from a thematic reasoning in the story why Laura is a part of this other than to just be captive bait to influence him to go along with the evil people's plans. Like, is she anything more than the damsel in distress?
Well, no. I mean, that's what her role is. But she tells him when he's about to leave, because his father's died, that she's going to go with him to help him through this tough time. What any right girlfriend would do, right? I mean, that's what you do as a girlfriend. And then she's already there, and so she just gets involved in it. My thing is, she's got more balls than he does. Sitting there right next to a mafia guy saying, "We're not doing this," and like basically telling him off. and practically walking out on a mafia guy. Like, whoa, what are you doing?
Did she know that it was a mafia guy? Like, did she pick up on that?
Of course.
I don't know that she did, dude. I'm not trying to be a sexist jerk. I'm honestly saying I don't think this woman plays it as if she knows what is happening in this scene. Like, she's not sure.
I think they both knew right away when they said, this is a meeting you don't want to miss. This is a gentleman you don't want to not see.
The offer you can't refuse? Is that what that is?
This man wants to meet you for dinner. You should be there. You don't want to not show up for this guy. I think that's a good hint.
Do you know what that sounds like? And his thugs also remind me of the TV guy that was running the station trying to get Hulk Hogan in No Holds Barred. Like, it's the same. It's the same thing, is it not? Like, when I was watching this, I was like, it's the same set of thugs that Brill had, or whatever.
I was hoping that he tells David that. If he doesn't go back in and get him that treasure, that he would give Laura a slow, painful, but enjoyable death. And he would have a lot of fun doing it, right? So then
slow, painful, enjoyable death.
Well, for him, enjoyable for him. And then David comes back after taking out his thugs.
Yeah.
And it basically comes back and confronts him with a gun, and the guy grabs her. And I was hoping that Vito would, like, kind of chicken out, the typical mafia boss who is more talk than action, and he's sitting there with a gun and he'd kind of like pee himself or something.
Well, I mean, he does give him a line, like, there's something, I can't remember the entire context, but he says something to the effect of, like, hey, you do what you got to do, man. I mean, and, like, all I needed him to do was to do the David Caruso from CSI Miami and put some sunglasses on and turn around. Because that was exactly that line delivery at that point from Stephen Baldwin.
He's not going to do that. He already showed that he actually cares about Laura. He's not going to just walk away.
Right.
So,
but the fact that he would say that is that's what I'm saying. Like, this movie's all over the place. And you said, like, you did the whole, like, what? When they get the cop and say she's the hero. I firmly believe, dude, like, that was a late rewrite or something. And they're like, oh, no, y'all going to let her off and, like, be okay with her now. And they're sure. That was just a late minute addition.
You even saw that the lead detective or whatever the guy is, the boss or her boss or whatever. I'm not even sure what his title is, to be honest with you. But you even saw there that he was asking them, he said, you have a confession to make on something, and inferring that she was in on the whole thing. And then that's when they kind of said, oh, no, as far as we're concerned, she's a hero. And I'm like, wait, what just happened here?
Yeah.
She just almost got them killed, like, multiple times. Right. And yet they're like, it's cool. You got shot. You're good. You saved us from being dead, I guess.
Right. But, I mean, in the mass shootout where there's bullets flying around everywhere, we got to talk about it, too, because she's mentioned in the plot summary, where David threatens one of the thugs with a saw blade to the head. Like, is he just going to push that in real hard?
Seriously, right? Like, I'm like, this is our hero, and he's about to murder someone. Really?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know, man. That's taking it a little too far.
It's not only that. He's gonna murder them, Brian, like, very slowly. Like, if you've ever seen the South Park where Cartman decides to kill Kyle with a wiffle ball bat, and it's just going to take a while.
Wow.
And he just keeps hitting him like, you're going to drift off to sleep any moment now. I mean, I'm like, what's he going to do with that saw blade? Like, press it in very slowly into your skull? This guy's not Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando where he can throw that through somebody's head. Like, what's he going to do with that? Like, it's just the most random weapon laying around, too. Like, if you had a knife in your pocket or something like on his throat, I get it. But saw blade to the head,
but
sure.
But a knife probably doesn't scare the guy as much as a freaking saw blade coming at your skull. I mean, jeez.
I guess.
For someone who's supposed to be a good guy, that's a very, very large intent to kill someone.
Well, you brought up something there, and I think it's a good thing to talk about, is he's the protagonist because, his father's died, and we feel for him for that, and he's sort of this amateur treasure hunter. But he's not.
I don't think he's a treasure hunter. I think he's just a diver.
No, I'm saying he becomes an amateur treasure hunter because he's a diver and stuff like that. But he's not like, it's not like he's Captain America over there. He's not honorable in any way. He's just into the story, right? So I guess he's the least scuzzy person on screen, which that's weird to say about Stephen Baldwin.
I don't know. I mean, what? What makes you think he's not honorable?
The fact that he tries to kill somebody with a saw blade, that's one.
Yes, at that point, I agree. But up until that point, he's all been honorable. He's honored everything that they've asked, and all he really wants to do is find his dad.
I guess.
And then, secondly, finish his mission.
Maybe it's maybe it's just the way he's playing it. Like, I don't know. I fully expected the third act turn to be that Baldwin was in on this with the Mafia the whole time, and then the shark element was just like one step too far.
Wouldn't that be something?
You know, like I was in for this, Vito, till you brought this damn shark.
To be in on it, right?
Like, you wanted Laura to be in on it? That would have actually made more sense than the cop. Yeah.
Well, it would give you more sympathy for Stephen Baldwin, that's for sure. But
right.
when she comes out with no ties, no handcuffs, no anything, she just kind of walks into the picture after he's like, I want to see her and make sure she's okay. Like,
right.
Well, what are you doing? Like, you were just – there was nobody holding her. She just kind of walked over there like, freaking run.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you're free. Go.
Nobody's restraining you.
Again, I think late minute rewrite. Like, maybe she was in on it, and then when they were going to reshoot, they couldn't get her back.
She looked like she'd be in on it. That's
we'll just have to go with it. Okay, so why did you say that though? So I'm judging
just the
Baldwin.
Looks that she gives.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if you look at her facial expressions throughout this movie, she seems like she's shady the whole time, and yet she's not. It's just like, okay, I can't read this person apparently. I don't know. That's the sense I got. I thought she was totally going to turn on him at some point or be in on something or whatnot, but it didn't happen.
Well, her whole agency is to just be supportive girlfriend who hopes to be a wife to this guy the whole time. Like, other than that, she doesn't really have any like her own motivation. So I agree with you. It would have been so much cooler if she had been like in on it, and this was all an elaborate ruse of some sort. Like, she knew like David's dad could not do this dive. It wasn't, and when he died, like, that could have been an accident actually. And then so she knows the only other person that can do this is him because he's like super diver man or whatever. He's friggin' Aquaman. But she's got to convince him somehow to do it. So she sets it up with the dad. Like, you want to get real sinister? We'll go total like Days of Our Lives. She was having an affair with the dad too, and she convinced him he could do it because he was trying to do better than the son. And I don't know. I mean, see, this is already a more interesting movie. Like, we're not even talking about the actual movie, and the reason is because the actual movie is pure garbage. Like, there's nothing to see. Like, it's so bad.
It's not good.
So let's talk about the sharks, though, because we've talked about the fact that they've used a lot of B-roll Shark Week footage to show us, various sharks of various sizes doing all kinds of things to fish in the water, and then played off as human. But when they actually have like some puppet shark action, like there's some serious good like cardboard painted on plywood sharks in this movie. Like it is hilariously bad.
Oh, it's terrible. But I do have a question, Jay, and I don't know if you caught this. So the first time that he goes in and gets the treasure, right? And they show him heading out, and he jumps in the water and then gets attacked by the shark like he was committing suicide, right? Because didn't he say, like, I love you, whatever, to his girlfriend on the microphone, and then jumps in the water with no suit, gets attacked by a shark. You see a freaking leg floating in the water. And then he's awake in the hospital bed 2 days later. So
From
we're
the coma.
supposed, yeah. So are we supposed to believe that all that was after he passed out and he imagined himself getting killed by the shark? Or
I thought there were other people with him,
but they all died.
Yeah, no, but like that's what she saw were body parts that floated to the top finally.
No, because he jumped back into the pool, the hole where the water is, and was going to come back, and he went right for the shark. He was going to attack him with his tank and all sorts of stuff. And I'm just like, and then all of a sudden he's in the hospital, and I fully expected him to have no leg, and like they found him and he was okay, and he walks out the next scene, and you're like, what the hell? What was that all about? I think that was a mistake in footage or something.
I think again, this is a poorly put together movie that changed directions a lot of different times. So I don't know. We're missing a character there. Like I honestly, like I remember that scene, and all I remember is that he got put into a coma because he got bit on the shoulder or something. But
Okay.
Why?
So you see that he got bit too?
Yeah, I think he got bit. Yeah.
I thought he passed out in the chamber, and they
found
him.
No.
Well, no, he couldn't have, because then they would have known where the treasure was. So
exactly. I think he got bit going back in there to rescue somebody, get the treasure, say hi to the shark. I don't know, but he got bit somewhere along the way, and then that's how he ended up in the coma. But I guess the sharks were full of everybody else at that point, and had decided that they didn't need to eat Stephen Baldwin, because why wouldn't they just eat him entirely? And this becomes Laura's movie at that point, right? Because, I mean, this happens all the time. Like, you cast the name actor, and then they just kind of peace out, after being first billed early on. Why not? I don't know how that didn't happen. Like, really? Because I don't know. It's dumb. It's a dumb movie. It's a dumb premise. And it ends in an incredibly dumb way. But I want to ask again, like, if you took the sharks out of it, would this even be a satisfying, like, crime drama at all?
No, I mean, it's so stupid and corny, and honestly, the acting is so bad in this movie. Mm-hmm. It's just terrible. Even Stephen Baldwin, who we know is a decent actor, didn't act very well in this. Decent, not great. Decent.
I would say employable. That's a word.
Well, he did a good job in several films, so we know he can act at some point.
He can. This is not meant to, like, showcase his ability, obviously. I'd wonder if there wouldn't be a decent story buried in this piece of crap somewhere, but it's not what we have. The movie we have has sharks that go on a rampage for reasons, right? And then we get a big shootout in the end, and of course, I mean, it has to end with we throw the bad guy into the fish, right? Who are been waiting to turn on him anyway because, I don't know, he gave him a terrible job. So hide some gold. So of course, that's how Vito's got to go down. It's cliched. It's kind of stupid. It's not very fun to watch. And that's the sad thing. Like, when I watch a movie like Sharks in Venice, I'm not expecting, A Clockwork Orange or something like that. Like, I'm not even expecting Darkman, or something. I just want something that can be fun, right? And that's the problem with this movie is there's about 4 minutes of fun in the hour and 28 minutes that it exists. And that is a poor ratio.
That's a very poor ratio. And I think it sums everything up pretty well right there. I mean, it's 88 minutes of garbage.
Yeah. Well, 84 minutes of garbage with 4 minutes of fun. But was it enough? I guess for posterity's sake, we've got to do final recommendations, thoughts, and popcorn ratings. So what are yours for Sharks in Venice?
Well, I'm glad we finally took the plunge and watched this movie, because now I can throw this thing away into the trash because I don't want to see it again. This is the popcorn that is picked up after the movie's over and they're cleaning the movie theater. It's that popcorn. Nobody's going to eat that crap. It's going right in the trash, just like this movie will. It's that bad. It's so bad, Jay, that let's just look here. IMDb, if you go out there and look at this film, scores a 2.5 out of 10 from 1,700 reviews. And it's got a score of 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How on earth is that even possible?
It should be one, but it has a 14%. I mean, this is really bad, folks. I mean, we're talking major bad. So those are two pretty good sources to find out a good overall feel of a movie, and this rates way down there. I think Leprechaun's worse than that, isn't it?
No. This was saying, like, there are Leprechauns that had zeros. Like, how did this rank higher than that, dude? That is blasphemy, in my opinion. Almost stars.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, there are people who like it. Leprechaun 2, which by far is the worst of the series, I would say. Oh, well, maybe Leprechaun 4, but that has a 4.5 on IMDb. So, I mean, if that can get a 4.5 and this gets a 2, Leprechaun in Space, there we go. That is by far the worst as far as anything goes in Leprechaun lore. 3.5 out of 10. So this scores lower than the two worst Leprechaun movies.
Man, this movie wishes it was a Leprechaun movie.
It sure does. And I wish it was too, because I might actually get some enjoyment out of it, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah, I don't know where my disc of this is. It's somewhere in storage, and it can just stay there as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm glad we checked it off the list because we have had it for almost 9 years now at this point, 8 years. But, yeah, this just wasn't any fun. And here's the funny thing, though. I watched this like 3 years ago because we were talking about doing it again or whatever, and we skipped it or whatever. But I remember watching it and had the same reaction to it then as I did now. I barely remember half of it. I don't really care. And I just think it would have been a much better, like, 1 hour episode of Hunter instead of, this movie about sharks protecting buried treasure and diving people. It's dumb. It's bad. It's not even any fun. And that's the real damning part of this, is that it's not that it's stupid. Like, we reviewed plenty of stupid stuff and had fun with it, right? Like the refrigerator, or something like that. This movie is not any friggin' fun, and that's disappointing.
If you're going to call it Sharks in Venice, make the shark more the focal point.
Right.
Have a rogue shark that's attacking people for some stupid reason. I don't know.
Yeah, could have been anything, but that's not what we got. So, small popcorn burnt off the floor, left out in the open for too long, turned green. It's bad. Like, maybe one of the least enjoyable things we've ever reviewed. Brian, that's saying something.
That's saying a lot. We've seen a lot of Leprechaun.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, man. I mean, okay, I will say right now, I would watch Leprechaun 2, 3, and 4 on a rotation for days before I would ever watch this again. Okay?
Yeah.
Because as bad as those movies are, and believe us, folks, they're in the archives. They're bad. Go listen. They're at least fun. Like, they can be fun. They're stupid, but they can be fun. This movie's not any friggin' fun. And that is the last straw for me. And this is like maybe the least favorite thing I've reviewed in all of these years of Film Strip is Sharks in Venice. I will not be recommending this to anyone. In fact, I don't know that I can convince anyone this actually exists. So if it weren't for us digging it out of the dustbin.
But if we've gotten you to think you want to see this piece of crap, it is available on Popcorn Flicks for the low price of free.
Exactly.
Which is a ripoff.
Well, I mean, it's not free because your time is more valuable than that, people. I promise you.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but it's not even good to keep in the background while you're vacuuming or anything like that. Like, there's no, go watch a couple of, there's 2-minute clips on YouTube. Just watch those. Like, I will say this, the opening sequence, like the music and all the diving and stuff, is the best cinematography in the movie, and I'm certain it wasn't shot by anybody associated with the film. It was bought from somebody else, but I can't prove that, but I'm just going to accuse them of it right now, because nobody cares. This movie's 11 years old. So, well, Brian, it's been fun revisiting this piece of trash with you once again. Another fun episode here of Film Strip. We've got another episode coming up soon, 2 weeks away. We do bi-weekly releases now here on Film Strip, but you can find all of our episodes in our archives. So go to our website, filmstrippodcast.com, or go to your favorite podcatcher, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all those kind of places. Just search for Film Strip Podcast. And if you like the show, folks, leave us a positive review. Please do it. It puts the show out in front a little bit more, helps people find it. We appreciate that support. Brian, tell folks how they can follow you and your vinyl record collecting stuff.
Yeah, you can follow me if you're a music fan or a vinyl record fan, especially. I do a podcast, not a very regular podcast. It's kind of when I feel like doing it podcast, but it's out there. I think we have 8 episodes up as we record, and more on the way. But it's all about all things vinyl. I talk about different things like cleaning your vinyl and storing your vinyl, and how to pick a record and what the different things mean as far as quality of the record, things like that. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can find me. Just search up Brian's Vinyl Records, and you'll find the podcast on all the same podcatchers that Jay listed earlier. So, if you're into that, go check that out, or check out, I'm on YouTube and other things too. So.
Yeah, YouTube's really the cool one because you get to see all the visuals with the artwork and the different stuff that Brian's featuring. So check that out. You can follow us on Twitter at FilmStripPod. You can follow me on Twitter as well at Jay Skipworth.
You can follow me at Brian Thomas 878.
Fantastic. So, folks, thanks again for your support. We're glad you joined us for this ride, and we'll be back again soon for another episode of Film Strip.
Thank you for listening to Film Strip. You can find more episodes on our website, filmstrippodcast.com. The Film Strip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.